They are lining up in Waco for the premier matchup of the women's basketball season thus far. #1 against #2. And Brittany Griner will be right in the middle of it, trying to keep Baylor atop the poll. She's the most dominating force in the game, and we'll see what Hall of Famer Gina Auriemma has planned to stop her. The place is sold out as UConn faces Baylor in a rematch of a one-point thriller 1 year ago.
Connecticut, #1 in the country. Baylor, #2. They do not want the streak to end here in Hartford. Sims, we're tied at 48. Hartley nails it. The freshman with 3 huge baskets down the stretch for Connecticut. 2 seconds left. Here's Sims. It's over. Connecticut survives by 1.
Welcome to ESPN's coverage of Holiday Hoops, presented by Kay Jewelers, as the second-ranked Connecticut Huskies face the #1 Baylor Lady Bears from Waco, Texas. Hi, everybody. Great to have you with us in Waco. I'm Dave O'Brien alongside my regular partner, Doris Burke. Rebecca Lobo is on the sideline. And great to have along with us our lead NBA analyst, Jeff Van Gundy. Jeff, pleasure to be with you. You've been following Brittany Griner since her high school days. I know you're very eager to see her play in person. What else fascinates you about tonight, though?
Well, just how easily Connecticut wins, and this is their first real test this year. Beat Stanford by 10, but they're coming on the road with a young team, and their best player may well be Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis, and I'm glad I got that name right, but she can really play. She can shoot it, she can put it on the floor, and she's got a big body.
Glad you've been practicing, because the whole country better practice. She's that good. Doris, take us to the one-on-one and the matchup in the middle with 2 outstanding centers.
Well, the 2 best centers in the country, Dave, no question. Stephanie Dolson, 2 early fouls in the matchup early last year, really hurt Connecticut in terms of their defensive prowess against the best center in the country, and that is 6'8" Brittany Griner. You've got to game plan for her on both ends. A shot-blocking machine and a more polished, poised offensive player.
Well, for more on the Dolson-Griner battle, let's bring in All-American Rebecca Lobo.
Well, Dave, we do have a great center matchup, and Dolson really struggled in that game last year, fouling out in only 12 minutes. But remember, that game was played in November, and Stephanie Dolson was the most improved player in all of college basketball over the course of last year. She's in much better shape, more skilled and more mature, and she's looking forward to playing Griner. She said, I want to see how I've gotten better, see the comparison between last year and this game. Guys, what she needs to see is the floor. She cannot get into foul trouble, but it's going to be a great matchup to watch.
Rebecca, thank you. To the starting lineups now as we show you UConn and Baylor. These are the matchups, and the Kelly Ferris-Brooklyn Pope head-to-head means that Ferris has to check a rebounding machine who really outsizes her. And, of course, the freshman Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis comes off the bench for Gina Auriemma, but leads UConn in scoring at 16 points a game. It was fascinating to see Gino Auriemma, when he came onto the court moments ago with his coaching staff, receive a standing ovation by the Baylor fans who have sold out this building. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that before up against Kim Mulkey. These 2 head coaches really like each other a great deal.
You know what was impressive is that they were recognizing greatness. And this was the first time I ever watched Gino coach in practice, and I almost stood up and gave him a standing up, because I watched a shoot-around today that was worthy of anybody at any level.
7 national championships, gunning for an 8th. And it's Baylor getting into Griner for the first touch, sweeping into the lane for the first bucket.
A couple of things right away. First of all, that's an area of improvement for Griner. She's turning over her left shoulder. Last year, she was very heavily over the right shoulder. And Ferris is checking Odyssey Sims, which is really an intriguing matchup. Their most physical defender. She's normally checking either a 2, 3, or 4 player. So that'll be fascinating to watch.
Ferris up top here for Hayes. Shot clock inside 10. She'll drive the lane. Blocked by Griner. And she kept it in play. Now on the attack. Baylor trying to take a quick advantage here. Pope underneath, and she'll lay it in. All starting that break on a great defense by the premier shot blocker in the game.
And at the other end, Dolson doesn't have the same athleticism and can't block the shot in the paint.
The bounce pass for Dolson. She'll get 2 on the nifty dish there in the opening seconds here a fast pace, and Baylor being pressed in the backcourt, trying to break it. Odyssey Sims, who has been called the #1 point guard in America by her head coach, but tosses that one away.
Well, made baskets allow you to get into your pressure. But if you're Brittany Griner, you're going to face one-on-one defense. I think Connecticut more concerned about making sure other players don't hurt them, as you did in the St. John's matchup. There's that left hand with a turn over the left shoulder, something she was not great at a season ago.
UConn coming in 9-0, already 2 victories over national championship contenders in Stanford and Texas A&M. A whistle and a foul will go against Baylor, and Kim Mulkey is furious already with Jessie Dickerson here.
I am too, Dave. Come on, let him play. That call doesn't need to be made. It wasn't anything overtly physical.
Plus, I think what Kim is outraged for, Jeff, if you've watched Brittany Griner, you know that she has taken a physical pounding her entire career. So Kim's going, let me have some of those calls.
Right, size always gets officiated much differently, and rarely is it equitable.
Underneath, bank shot. That won't fall in for Hartley. Kept alive by Ferris. Here's Hayes to line up the 3. And it's Griner to pick off the rebound. We really hope on this night they're going to let them play. And that you won't see the ticky-tack fouls. 2 minutes into the first half. And Baylor on top 4-2. Condrey knocks that one down. Taryn Condrey, 5'7" senior. She can shoot the 3 as well. Baylor off to a 6-2 start.
And this is a little bit, Connecticut runs a little bit of the Princeton offense, 4 around 1 with a lot of dribble handoffs and back cuts.
Hayes with a miss. Tiffany Hayes can certainly get hot. She's shooting 50% overall as it's tipped out by Dolson, denying Griner there.
Tiffany Hayes a little bit streaky, though. And Coach Oriam was saying to us earlier today at shoot-around, I really feel like we've got to make some threes, maybe 8, 9. We're going to get 22, 23. And it's interesting, the Griner effect has impacted their opponents to shoot a ton more threes than prior to her arrival.
Condrey up top. Crowd wanted some contact there. No whistle. Odyssey Sims looking inside. Griner trying to establish that low post. They got it inside to her. She'll fire it up close. No.
And that's all you want. Turnaround jump shot away from the basket and live, make or miss.
Hartley from the corner knocks it down. A 3-pointer. Rhea Hartley, the sophomore out of North Babylon, New York.
See, challenging Brittany Griner doesn't necessarily mean getting shot attempts. Just attack her body and then pitch it to the open shooter. That's a pretty play by Tiffany Hayes.
And I like the strategy by Connecticut. No double teaming of Griner early. See if Dolson can stay in the game without fouling and limit the 3-point attempts and second shots.
Shot clock down to 3. Here's Condrey. Can't hit that one. And a whistle. A foul on the floor with 16:28 to go in the first half.
Go ahead and say it.
Yeah, you're grimacing, Jeff. You didn't like the call there, the foul against Kelly Ferris.
Hey, you beg people to block out like that. This girl is technically, fundamentally sound. That was tremendous block out.
Condrey over the top, Griner, and she shoved Dolson there with her first foul, although she's pleading her case as well. Stephanie Dolson, as Rebecca mentioned in our open, got into early foul trouble. And now Gino is livid about that call. So both head coaches are getting in the ear of the officials.
Same guy called both fouls. Very interesting.
Pull up pop, that will roll away. Griner swatting at the rebound. It'll go back over to UConn.
I think it's a good thing Jessie Dickerson isn't on this side of the floor, because Coach Van Gundy might chew on him.
No.
Hartley turns it over, harassed by Sims. She palmed it, and back over to Baylor.
And it's interesting. Baylor usually is in great denial. That's why Connecticut wants to back cut. Yesterday they talked at practice about not being in such full denial because they were very worried about the number of layups Connecticut's been able to create.
The lane opened up, and Sims took advantage, didn't she? A one-person fast break.
You know, she's not a prototypical point guard in terms of her ability to set up her teammates and get you into your stuff and get all the right shots. She's developing that area, but Jeff, fearless and a scoring mentality from the lead guard spot.
And it just shows you the impact of Griner. Dolson doesn't help because she keeps her body on Griner on the penetration to try to prevent second shots, led to the wide open layup.
Condre in the open floor trying to get into the lane, some contact there. The bank won't go. Griner follows it for two more.
And listen, Connecticut's not going to be a great rebounding team. You don't magically get bigger and get more size. You're playing a four-guard lineup, and so there are times where those offensive boards are going to hurt you.
Caroline Doty wearing that heavy brace, and the foul will go the other way. It'll be on Connecticut. 15:06 to go.
Well, Brittany Griner, 6'8". When you go down the lane, you better be mindful. Twice on the pipes and then on the offensive boards. You don't teach that, folks. That's skill and will.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Kay Jewelers. Every kiss begins with Kay.
A 5 for 9 shooting start for Baylor, and they have doubled up UConn 10-5 inside the first 5 minutes. Brittany Griner right in the middle, as expected, Jeff.
Off to a good start. Good little jump hook going to her left shoulder, rolling off the body of Dolson, and then attacking the penetration of Hayes to ignite a fast break, and then running the floor and sticking back the second shot. She looks very good, and now Connecticut has the problem of Dolson having 2 fouls.
Just picked up her second personal foul. 4 points, 3 rebounds, and a block already for Griner.
A little bit of a similar circumstance. You know, you revisit last year's game tape, and there's a couple of early fouls on Griner. Not great fouls. I agree with maybe one of the calls. Certainly not the first one, I didn't think. So that's a tough one to take. And you play her, Jeff, and you're concerned. Do you say something to her as a coach coming out of here?
Nene Hayne with a sweet move to drop in 2.
No, the problem is smart players have to be able to play with fouls. They can't win with Dolson on the bench, so I think it's a smart move keeping her in with 2. You're not winning with the young, inexperienced front court, so you have to be able to trust your best players.
Escada Lewis bouncing that one for Dolson on a high post. Here's Hartley in the corner. Dolson still very, very active, setting screen. Shot clock is down to 5, though. Dolson trying to shoot. Another block for Griner. Got right up in her face and denied her from at the top of the key. And now Griner on the other end with a rolling hook for 2.
Forget that. There's not a lot you can do with that.
Gino Auriemma has compared playing against her to what it must have been like to play against Lou Alcindor and Ralph Sampson in their primes. I don't think that's far off, if it's off at all.
No, that's not off. That move right there, left hand running hook shot.
An answer on the other end by the freshman, Mosqueda Lewis, with a three-pointer.
If she gets jump hook left and jump hook right, Jeff, I don't know how you guard it. Her release point's going to be so much higher than everybody else's.
Griner tough inside, not to be denied. Boy, she's really showing you the full array of her ability. She has 8 points. Ferris can't get the shot off, dishes again to Dolson. Ferris will bounce inside. Dolson rolls for two. Nicely run play.
That was a very nice pocket bounce pass. Second time Dolson's been able to roll to the rim, catch and finish. She's much more nimble on her feet than the same time last year against Baylor.
Well, that's to Rebecca's point, a better conditioned athlete. I think, you know, that first game against Baylor opened her eyes a season ago. This is important. Made baskets allow Connecticut to extend their pressure, and it at least takes some time off the clock and limits your exposure to Griner in a half court.
Destiny Williams in the game now for Kim Mulkey, who can go 10 deep with this Lady Bear team, which is 10-0. Wins already over 3 top 25 opponents. A stuff on the other end by Heather Buck, and now the tie-up. The possession arrow will take it to the other end of the floor. 12:41 to go in the half.
Well, at 6'8", you can see the kind of challenge she'll give you. I don't think Dolson was ever confident in that move. And then look at her post-up position. She's much more willing and able to take contact and doesn't get as frustrated, Jeff. Her freshman season, you could see her react at times with her body language.
And you don't have to double her, but when she puts the ball on the ground, you have to attack her dribble and make her at least think about passing off the dribble.
Mosqueda Lewis very quickly getting involved in the offense, as she is prone to do. Dumps in 2 from close range.
If they're going to win on the road, she has the ability to get her own shot, and she's going to have to play big minutes and be super efficient.
Sims in the backcourt takes it for Baylor. So another crack at it as we approach 12 minutes to go in the first half. Number 1 against number 2 here from Waco. Although the roles reversed from what they were a year ago. On the baseline, Destiny Williams. Deep into the corner. On the drive, Hayden airborne. Here's Sims, left open, pops up a long one, and drains the 3.
So the 2-3 zone, the one player you really got to be mindful of, to me, with them is Odyssey Sims.
Averaging 18 a game, also 7 assists a game. The bounce, hardly no. Baylor wants to run. Jordan Madden trying to push the tempo a little bit. But Baylor has scored on 6 of their last 7 possessions. So they're in a groove here. Griner trying to make a move, dribble it off her body and out of play. 11:05 to go. And when we come back, the man who has taken the Heisman to Baylor, the school's first Heisman Trophy winner, RG3, when we return.
2011 winner of the Heisman Trophy is Robert Griffin III, RG3.
And certainly the most popular man here in Texas these days, Robert Griffin III, the Heisman Trophy winner, joined by our own Rebecca Lobo.
Yes, Dave, I am here with Baylor's first ever Heisman Trophy winner. Now, people say winning the Heisman changes your life. What have been some of the new experiences you have had since winning the award?
Well, that's certainly true. I haven't been able to go very many places, but you know, with fame and notoriety comes attention, and that's what you have to be ready to deal with.
It's a pretty exciting time here. The women's team ranked #1, the men's team in the top 10. You guys are playing in a bowl game. What is it like to be a Baylor student athlete right now?
Oh, it's amazing. You know, all of our sports are doing great right now. As a football team, we want to be ranked in the top 10 at the end of the season. If we win our bowl game, that'll happen.
Now, you have 1 year of eligibility remaining, but you also have finished or completed your degree. Where are you in your decision-making process in terms of where you're going to be playing football next year?
Well, I'm at ground zero. I'm trying not to think about it, just focus on what's in front of me, and that's being a Baylor Bear. So that's what I'm trying to do.
All right, congratulations. Dave, much like Coach Oriema, he made me take my shoes off for the interview.
Well, he did win the Heisman. He's a great kid. Saw him on Letterman the day after he won the Heisman, I believe it was. He was outstanding, very funny, had a great sense of humor. Here's Hartley in the corner and traveling with it, so she'll give it up. Couple of turnovers for her in the early going. 19-12, Baylor. Lady Bears holding opponents to 29% shooting. And a turnover right back over to Connecticut. So Ferris to set it up. Dolson again has been on the bench for a little while now in foul trouble. Airmailed by Hartley, who's off a rough start. Now Odyssey Sims to set it up. Preseason All-American, certainly playing like one. Dropped in 25 against Notre Dame. And a terrific win for the Lady Bears. Griner spinning, lost it, and gave it up. Hayes, Mosqueda Lewis now. They'll find Ferris. Buck to hand off. Connecticut winding that shot clock down, getting very deep into it yet again. Here's Ferris have to launch a long one here. On the baseline, Hayes. Buck went down hard, very slow to get up in the lane and grimacing when she did. New shot clock now for Connecticut.
I like the minutes she's given him so far. Good defensive post work, kept the ball alive a couple times. She's really played well. 6'3" junior. But again, the crowd likes the defensive effort. Mosqueda Lewis will fire and nail it with a sweet jumper.
A season ago, they needed 30 from Maya Moore to win at home. Mosqueda Lewis has got to be a player who's a threat on the offensive end. Baylor, 184 straight opponents, under 50%. These are two of the best defensive teams in the country. They can make it ugly at times.
Hey, listen, Baylor could be pretty good defensively with us three, some other stiff, and Griner, because you're not getting any layups with her.
Williams in the lane, off the back of the iron, collects her own miss. Gino a little bit upset about the rebounding his team is not doing in the first half. He's letting them know, too. Sims sealed off by Ferris. Tough shot, but got it to go anyway. Not sure how she did it, but an acrobatic play by Odyssey Sims.
We were talking about the 25 she had against Notre Dame. As impressive as that, she was strip stealing Skylar Diggins, one of the best point guards in the country.
All net by Kelly Ferris, the junior out of Plainfield, Indiana. And so Connecticut able to stay close with the three-pointers, 21-17. Williams off the Griner on the lob, can't cash in. So UConn buckling down and denying. Ferris off the fake. Got it back to Hayes. Quick move, quick step to her left. That's a beautiful drive with the left hand.
And she wrong-footed Griner. She went off her left foot, so got it up there a count early. which took away the shot blocker's timing.
21-19. Connecticut creeping to within 2.
And I don't know what Ferris's numbers are going to be at the end of the game, but that's a winning basketball player. You watch her, she doesn't make mistakes, and she is tough.
Rebound tipped out high. Hayes wants to run. Up in front, it's Hartley to lay it in. So Connecticut on the charge has tied it at 21. 7:02 remaining here in the first half, and all knotted up between number 1 and number 2. So UConn on a 7-zip run has tied it at 21.
Now you've got a team that's undersized, so Kelly Ferris has got to battle, and they've got to rebound from 5 positions. And these kinds of rebounds, to me, have got to be this team's. And poor defensive floor balance by Baylor. It leads to an easy opportunity.
Connecticut was ranked number 1 for 51 consecutive weeks, including the last 4 weeks of 2010 and 11 in the regular season. That run was the longest in the history of the poll, surpassing the 36-week run of Louisiana Tech in the early 1980s. But opening up this season, the Baylor Lady Bears, number 1 in America, and off to a perfect 10-0 start. And tonight playing in front of a packed house, an advanced sellout. First time that has ever happened for a Lady Bears home game here in Waco, and it's been sold out for weeks.
And this is interesting. Freshman Stokes in to defend Griner.
Griner taking advantage, goes to the line as well, looking for the three-point play, fouled by Stokes.
A nice little screen action, gets Griner the ball deep, rolls off Stokes' body, three-point play possibility.
Back in Waco, Doris Burke, Jeff Van Gundy, Rebecca Lobo, and Dave O'Brien with you. Number 1 Baylor on top by 2 over number 2 Connecticut with 6:42 to go in the half.
Well, Griner got off to a great start. Second shot's off of penetration, and then the block shot. You just can't shoot over. You got to drive around her. And then this is the last play. Sealing deep in the paint against the young Stokes.
Stokes, the freshman out of Marion, Iowa. Iowa's Gatorade High School Player of the Year last year, but as Jeff points out, a rookie, and Griner really went after her.
Well, what you want to find out in these games, they help you in this way. Mosqueda Lewis has got to play on the road for the first time, and this is a sellout. It's a loud crowd. Same with Stokes. Are they prepared? Maybe not as much as you want them to be, maybe one more than the other, but at least you can see them respond.
Right, and if you want to develop more size and more depth, you've got to play. And that leads to bumps in the road.
Baylor knocks it out of play with 19 on the shot clock for Connecticut.
Doesn't feel like the clock is working. Is that? Oh, yeah, there it goes. Okay.
And again, Sims able to deflect that, but off of her, really harassing Caroline Doty.
I'll tell you, I love her as a defender, especially on the ball. I'm not necessarily off the ball. I don't think she's as good, but she's got great strength. Her frame is really solid. Excellent, strong hands.
And on cue with the theft, Odyssey Sims to finish it up.
And when you know you can gamble and you have the ultimate shot blocker behind you, it makes you even more difficult to cross the ball over in front of, and she just stripped Mosqueda Lewis.
Right in midcourt, and she'll drive it again, and an offensive foul, no basket. It'll be a charge on Sims. What do you think about this call from Jessie Dickerson?
I like that one.
All right, so that one's in the plus column for Dickerson tonight on the Van Gundy meter. Under 6 to go here in the first half. Sims, by the way, perfect 4 for 4 from the field. Another pickoff, and Sims in the corner. And Hayden on the drive. Getting it in for Pope. Popped up by Griner, and she's fouled on the floor. So the Lady Bears really in full attack. Well, Tuesday night on ESPN2, college basketball, a doubleheader coming your way. Samford taking on Kentucky, and then at 9 o'clock, a battle of the Bulldogs at Butler facing Gonzaga.
What a great place to do a game. Have you been out there to Gonzaga?
Love it.
Never have been.
Phenomenal.
It will deafen you. But it's a blast to call a game there. And of course, Mark Few's program has just been one of the very best in the game for so long. Hayden trying to free up Griner. Shot clock down to 11 for Baylor. On the baseline, Pope trying to wriggle free, traveling. She gives it back.
You know, I was talking about the freshmen and developing some confidence in them. Heather Buck, as you mentioned, Jeff, last year in the matchup, she had to play the final 7.5 minutes because of the foul trouble to other players. She's got to gain his trust. I think she's earning herself some minutes with her performance.
Here's Mosqueda Lewis. Oh, a great touch for that one to fall in from three-point land. Tremendous shooter's roll there.
This girl, oh my.
Down the lane, Pope. That teardrop, no.
And you see how Buck faked at the penetration of Pope and got back to Griner's body. Good defensive decision.
And she picked up the rebound as well. Here's Hayes off the screen, drops it in. The three-pointers. We'll see if Hayes heats up here down the stretch of the first half.
Streaky shooter, so she gets one to go. It comes off the fingertips a little bit easier the next time.
Well, the crowd really stepping into it. Sims sweeping in, no. Rebound tipped and controlled by Connecticut.
And when Baylor drives, they got to know the size is not coming to block. You just stick it in. Buck is not coming over to help.
UConn with a chance to add to their lead now, up by 1. Done a great job taking the crowd out of it at times here in the opening half, as they fought back from a deficit. Mosqueda Lewis Hardly off the fake. Shot clock's down to 2. Driving the lane. And they did not get it up there in time. It's a shot clock violation.
See, this is where a little bit Buck hurts you because it's 4-on-5. She's good on the defensive end, but you're 4-on-5. Your options offensively a bit more limited.
Helena Mosqueda-Lewis is 4 for 4, by the way, shooting it very confidently, and UConn has taken the lead.
Well, just good defense by Baylor on many possessions. Sims with consecutive steals, but it's unusual. Both teams are giving up very high field goal defensive percentage, which is very much unlike them.
In fact, Connecticut is hitting 52% of their shots in the first half.
184 straight opponents have not shot 50% against Baylor. In Connecticut, these two teams always amongst the top 5 in the country, field goal percentage defense.
But what both teams are doing is not fouling. One free throw in the game, and that was Griner.
3:37 to go in the first half. Griner wants the ball on the low block. Buck is there to tap it away. She really has had a standout half. Heather Buck, the junior from Connecticut. She has been very tenacious around Brittany Griner. And she's had to be with Dolson on the bench most of this half with 2 fouls.
And unlike Dolson, she doesn't have to worry about picking up fouls. She can be more physical.
Breeze with a quick step, Hartley on the baseline. Shot clock at 3. She nails it anyway.
I like her demeanor. I mean, she had an air ball. She was shaky at the start, but the kid never gets rattled.
Seems to run in the UConn family, doesn't it? Under 3 minutes to go. In the opening half, Hope into the lane, will lean in, tried the banker, no. And Buck there for the rebound. On the outlet, Hartley trying to beat everybody to the other end, and she does for 2. 31-26.
Yeah, both teams score an awful lot of their points, either one at the glass layups or two from three-point. Both coaches emphasizing, make them beat us from the mid-range game. We haven't seen a lot of that.
So UConn opening up their biggest lead of the first half, a 5-point edge. Nene Hayden picked up the dribble. Here's Sims to launch a long one. That didn't touch a thing. And it is kicked out off of Connecticut. Watch them get beat onto the other end.
Again, that's the guard's responsibility to balance the floor. They got back to the half-court line. They didn't get back all the way.
Well, Pope took a tumble. Brittany Griner helping her up and getting a little physical.
Well, Heather Buck letting her know, listen, I've got my spot here and I'm not backing down. I love that.
Now Sims will bring it out with 8 seconds to shoot it.
And they need to create a little bit more movement in their zone offense.
Sims with a miss picked off by Hayes. Connecticut 31-26 and starting to settle in offensively. Connecticut on the road. Nearly slapped away. Ferris controls, decides to go down the lane, a kick out. Here's Tiffany Hayes. Can't bang that one in. 1:25 left in the opening half. Ferris playing tremendous defense on Sims, stole it away, and the foul will go against Odyssey Sims. A Wednesday night on ESPN2, a doubleheader coming your way. First at 7 Eastern, Jacobin Brown and Texas take on Harrison Barnes and number 6 North Carolina. Then at 9 o'clock, it'll be Oklahoma State squaring off against number 21 Alabama. Now, the last Baylor field goal came with 6:16 left in the half. So that was 5 minutes ago.
That was a fine example right there of one-on-one individual defense by Ferris against Sims. Kept her body in front of the ball, stripped it when she picked it up. Outstanding.
Hardly stepping on the line, so she'll turn it over.
And to your point, I say this every time I cover Connecticut with Ferris. Now, you think about the Stanford game, the other big game that was on their schedule early. Ferris checked the 2-4 players. Agumake, she had to give up all kinds of athleticism. Now you're asking her to check a point guard. It's amazing the versatility. She also is a player on the offensive end, Jeff, always in the right place. The screening angle's perfect. Very heady player.
Hayden airborne. Nice touch there for 2 for Nene Hayden, the junior from nearby Dallas, and a timeout by Gino Auriemma. So 33.4 seconds left in the first half. We expect it'll be this way right down to the final horn. Hey, this season ESPNW will take a journey across America, bringing you an in-depth look at 16 women's college basketball programs. That's our Sweet 16. Visiting powerhouse schools and schools off the beaten path as well. Log on to ESPNW.com. On the topic of powerhouses, we made a visit to Baylor this week. Baylor eliminated in the Elite Eight, a disappointing end to their season last year. But they're wearing bracelets, which they have to wear. They're mandatory in practice, which have that motto, unfinished business, on them, because they had that quick exit for them. They thought it was a quick exit in last year's tournament. They were expecting to go all the way to the national championship in their minds. 17 seconds left in the half. Hayes back to Hartley. She'll fire it and drill it. A three-pointer. And Hartley, after a choppy start, has really caught fire. Opportunity for one last chance, one last shot for the Lady Bears. Hayden to drive it, flips it up. That won't go, and that won't either. So they had 2 cracks at it at the end. 34-28. UConn, and look at the big donut there for Griner. Nothing down the stretch for Brittany.
Well, their last 11 possessions, 6 missed shots, 4 turnovers, 1 basket. That zone, they better figure it out in the 15-minute intermission.
Now, Gino Auriemma has to be delighted the way his team picked things up about 5 or 6 minutes into the game. And down the stretch, they were obviously the better team. And Kim Mulkey has a lot to figure out at halftime. Let's go to Rebecca with Gino.
Coach, you said coming into this game it'd be very difficult to win if Stephanie got into foul trouble. How have you been able to build this lead with her spending so much time on the bench?
Because I'm not letting the fact that you Twitter about my height affect my self-esteem. Well, actually, I think Heather Buck's done a great job defending in the post, and we've done a pretty good job of not letting Brittany catch the ball, because once she catches it, we can't guard her. And Stephanie, I think, can do a great job when she comes back in, but she can't do it by herself. And I think the game's going to be won on the offensive end tonight, not on the defensive end as much.
All right, Coach, thank you. Guys, never lacking for self-esteem.
No, he certainly is not, and he certainly isn't tonight. His team looks very good early. They have the lead at the break. Now let's go to Cindy Brunson in the studio and a Kay Jewelers halftime report.
This Bulls team is going to be something special.
The Los Angeles Lakers face a ton of questions.
It's going to be a long, painful summer before they get a chance to respond. It hurts now, but what a future for Kevin Durant and the Thunder. A bitter finish to a year that was really championship or failure. The Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions.
Popcorn, fresh popcorn, real popcorn sold by a real human being, satisfaction guaranteed. Get your popcorn, never stuck, accepts bills and change. Popcorn, popcorn.
Welcome into our college basketball studios. Jonathan Coachman alongside Andy Katz. Saturday, a busy day in the world of college basketball. Syracuse playing their first true road game of the year and their first game as #1 in the country. On the road at NC State, first half, Syracuse, they closed out the first half on a 27-6 run.
Yeah, NC State still just not ready for prime time to handle a team like Syracuse. They got off to a nice early start, but Syracuse can just come at you in waves offensively.
Yeah, Deion Waiters, 14 points in the first half, 47-33 at the break. But give North Carolina State a lot of credit. Second half, they came back in a hurry.
Well, they would like to run, and that's what they had to do to sort of catch Syracuse. C.J. Leslie had a nice early part of the second half. They worked the ball around to Scott Wood, which was a concern for Syracuse, and they worked the offensive backboard.
Yeah, C.J. Williams to finish there. We're tied at 54. Now, Cuse, just like they did in the first half, up 3. How about Scoop Jardine nails the 3?
A senior player, very experienced, knows where to pick his spots. And look, Syracuse had a lot of open shots.
Yeah, Jardine again, he had 16 to Cuse. They go on the road, and they win in impressive fashion, 88-72. That is your final in Raleigh. All right, let's move to the KFC Yum Center. #4 Louisville taking on Memphis. First half, Louisville, they would lead by 10 at halftime. Kyle Kurrick, he had 11.
And Kurrick has done a great job sort of reading his guards. Every time I look up, it seems like he's got a flush like that.
So let's go second half now. Gorgie, dang, how big of a factor? We had 14-14 on Saturday.
This team runs, I think, as well as any team in the country, especially at the Yum Center.
Joe Jackson nails the 3. He had 22. Memphis cuts the lead to 2. But who's the guy you go to, Andy, when you need a bucket?
Well, look at Kurrick. with the slam once again. And Louisville's had great play from a variety of players throughout the course of the season.
10-0 for the first time since 1996-97. All right, Ohio State, number 2, on the road at South Carolina. Early first half, more bad news. Jared Sullinger, he goes down.
Yeah, not the back this time. That's what kept him out of 2 games against Kansas and Texas Pan Am. This time he knocks feet. Ultimately, it would be determined as a bone bruise. Went to the hospital off-site, or went for, an X-ray off-site, where it was determined there was no fracture, and he's now listed as day-to-day. As you'll see here next, though, Jonathan, he comes in for a play to see if he can go, but he gets no elevation on a rebound, and that's sort of the signal for Jared Sullinger when he decides, look, I can't go, I need to leave the game right now and get checked.
So Sullinger would leave. Deshaun Thomas in his absence, a career-high 30. And William Buford also doing work as well. Buford 17 points, 5 assists.
Great confidence boost for Ohio State to have Buford and Deshaun Thomas, who went for 30, to contribute like that, especially without Sullinger.
After the game, Lynn Elmore spoke with Thad Matta.
Dad, early in the game, you lose arguably your best player on the floor, and Jared Sullinger, to a foot injury. Seemed to be a struggle for a while, but obviously you've got more than just Jared Sullinger.
Yeah, I tell you what, I am very, very proud of our guys, and we were a little bit shell-shocked there. I give South Carolina credit. I mean, Darren did a phenomenal job, and those guys, I think, as I told them, are playing great basketball right now. They were making shots. We didn't have the level we needed, and we weren't as good attacking the zone as we needed to be. Made some adjustments second half, and it was good for us.
Well, tell me about the defense, because I was particularly impressed with Aaron Craft on the ball and off the ball, creating opportunities for you guys to deflect the ball and get out on the break.
He's unbelievable, and I've said this. Aaron's got the twofold thing. Number one, he plays extremely hard, but number two, he's the smartest basketball player in the country. And you watch him, and he's timing stuff up, and even the still there at the end of the game, he's so valuable. And the job he did breaking this press and getting us into offense, he was unbelievable.
Well, finally, obviously looking forward, what's the update on Jared?
A bone bruise. Got kicked early in the game. He got kicked, and he just said that he couldn't bend his foot. I'm going to catch a break one of these days. I don't know when it's going to be, but I'm going to catch a break, and we're going to be full force at some time.
Well, congratulations on a tough win, but an outstanding win.
Thank you, Len. Thank you.
I don't know how many people are going to feel sorry for Thad Matta with all that talent. All right, let's stay in the Big Ten. Illinois playing in Chicago at the United Center, taking on UNLV. The Running Rebs already a win this year over North Carolina, and they controlled most of this afternoon despite that bucket by Crandall Head.
Yeah, Illinois still has these scoring droughts that really start to burn them. They had to come back to sort of hold off St. Bonaventure at home, and UNLV has been road tested, winning at Santa Barbara. They did lose to Wichita State and Wisconsin. Mike Moser, another outstanding rebounding performance. UNLV hosts Cal later in the week.
All right, Indiana coming off their big win over number 1, then Kentucky, playing at Conseco Fieldhouse, the second game of the doubleheader, taking on just an overmatched Notre Dame team.
Without Tim Abromaitis, who's out for the year with a knee injury, Notre Dame just not able to handle a team like Notre Dame. And who's your favorite Zeller? You got Tyler, you got Luke, you got Cody. 3 to choose from.
That was Verdell Jones III, because Indiana, they started kind of slow. Didn't really seem like they were emotionally into it, but Zeller had a team-high 21 as Indiana goes up. Then later, more from Zeller.
Well, what's impressive here is Indiana followed up their upset of number 1 Kentucky with a win against a team that they should beat because they're better than them right now.
Yeah, Jordan Holes, he was perfect from 3. Indiana 69-58. They are a perfect 10-0. The first game of the afternoon at Conseco, the finish of the day in college basketball. Let's pick it up second half. Butler, Purdue, Robbie Hummel. How nice is it for Purdue to have him back?
Oh, it's great. He's experienced, and he can make shots like that. He's versatile. Against Xavier, he had full body cramps. Not an issue today.
So then, later in the second, Butler down 6. That's Andrew Smith. Cuts the lead to 4. Let's go under 30 seconds. Chase Stigo working the glass. He gets that to go. Butler now up 1.
Still some experience left from the back-to-back national championship teams. Lewis Jackson trying to create something for Purdue, and he does, and he gets fouled, Jonathan.
Yeah, he would make only 1 free throw, though, so we're tied at 65. Just over 5 seconds to play now. Jones. No, but look at Smith there for the finish. So with 1 second to go.
Sorry, Andrew Smith following the ball with the tip-in. Barlow misses this heave, and Butler gets their most significant win of the season. They go to Gonzaga next. They're still going to be in the hunt in that Horizon League.
Yeah, they really needed that win on Saturday. Number 6, North Carolina, hosting Appalachian State.
Are there 5 better teams than North Carolina? I know that they're number 6 because they lost twice.
Well, I don't think so, and we will find that out in March, but they were clearly better than App State on Saturday, playing defense, turning it into offense. Kendall Marsher, John Henson, that was pretty.
Must have been a little bizarre for Jason Cable, former North Carolina Tar Heel, now the head coach at App State. He used to be part of those kind of alley-oops.
Yeah. And speaking of the
there's
Zellers,
Tyler Zeller, one of the best big men in the country.
How about 31 points, 10 rebounds? North Carolina 15-point winners at home. All right, number 7, Baylor, still unbeaten. They had to go to BYU. This was an important game for them.
This was the best game on Saturday. Brady Heslop had 6 threes. Baylor's second true road game. They won at Northwestern, but by far their toughest to date, trying to win at the Marriott Center.
So then under 2 minutes to play. Brandon Davies, no, but Charles Abiel. I always butcher his name, so I just say it like that. So, you know.
But here was the big scare. Perry Jones III driving on Brandon Davies. He knocks knees. He goes to the bench. And when I talked to him later on Saturday, he said he thought he tore something in his knee. He was still in a lot of pain, but told the staff, I've got to get back in the game. And he did, and boy, did he make a big difference.
Yeah, he comes back in the game, keeping it stretched out. You see him here on the follow. This was the key basket in the game.
That's right, because Pierre Jackson blocked a 3 that would have tied it from Brandon Davies.
All right, Florida, Texas A&M, and this was a blowout from the start. It was a top 25 matchup, but A&M did not look like a top 25 team.
A little disappointing because they got Chris Middleton back, their best player, and A&M just did not show here in South Florida. Florida's guards played very well, great balance for the Gators. They've only got 2 losses, at Ohio State, at Syracuse. This is one of the best, I'd say one of the top 10 to 15 teams in the country.
Yeah, they can hit the 3. Kenny Boynton hits a couple, and then a little give and go. Bradley Beal with the slam. Now check this out, Andy. At halftime, a Florida student, this for $25,000. And he makes it. He makes it. And then what do you think he did? Tebowing.
No words.
It never ends. Irving Walker would end the game there. 84-64 is your final. Number 3, Kentucky hosting Chattanooga. John Calipari's team trying to respond from their loss to Indiana first half. Deron Lamb, no. Anthony Davis, yes. Davis 14 points, 18 boards later in the first half. Deron Lamb, he led 5 Wildcats in double figures. He had 24. Then in the second half, Marcus T to Darius Miller. Kentucky rolls at home 87-62. That's your final. That was quite a day.
Great day on Saturday in college basketball. We had a great game with Baylor, BYU, a great finish, certainly with Butler, Purdue, and Syracuse looking as good as any team in the country. They will be the #1 team in the country going into 2012.
He's Andy. I'm Jonathan. Happy holidays, everybody.
After a long day of doing cowboy stuff, I like to retire with the warm company of Coach Ditka and my buddy Steve. Thanks to Watch ESPN, we never miss any live games or our favorite ESPN shows. I taught him that.
Watch ESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. The ESPN networks, live anywhere.
Tebow goes in Sanchez. Basically, Sanchez is doing more than Tebow getting none of the credit. Tebow is doing less and getting all of the credit. But Sanchez has been doing this Tebow act for 2 years and gets no credit. If you're gonna give Tebow the Messiah treatment on comeback, then you have to like Sanchez.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific on ESPN Radio.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, bowl season. Celebrate your team's trip to the big game with ESPN Bowl Championship apparel by Adidas. Featuring men's and women's t-shirts, hoodies, hats, and more. For all 10 BCS Bowl-bound teams. ESPN Bowl Championship apparel by Adidas. Available at Kohl's and online at Kohls.com and ESPNshop.com. ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Mark Kester here. Let's update Sunday Night Football from San Diego, where despite a 6-7 record, Chargers still very much alive for the playoffs, visiting Baltimore Ravens, already clinching a playoff spot earlier today, but begin the night tied in the AFC North race with idle Pittsburgh. Steelers will play tomorrow night in San Francisco tonight. It's the Chargers with a 10-7 lead over the Ravens, just over 3 minutes to go in the first half. Mike Tolbert is a 2-yard touchdown run for the Chargers, who snapped a tie on a Nick Novak 45-yard field goal just a few minutes ago. Earlier today, the Packers suffered their first loss of the year, 19-14 at Kansas City. Aaron Rodgers held to under 50% completion rate for the first time since Week 8 last year. Kyle Orton passed for 299 yards in the Chiefs' win. Meanwhile, the Colts will avoid an 0-16 season. Got their first win today, 27-13 against Tennessee. The Colts now 1-13. Their first win without Peyton Manning at the controls since 1997. Patriots snuffed the Broncos' 6-game win streak, 41-23 in Denver. Rare win for
You're watching ESPN's Holiday Hoops, presented by Kay Jewelers.
We welcome you back to ESPN's coverage of Holiday Hoops, presented by Kay Jewelers, as number 2 UConn faces number 1 Baylor from Waco, Texas. And at halftime, UConn, thanks to a 20-7 run down the stretch of the first half, has the lead as we get set for the second 20 minutes. Dave O'Brien along with Jeff Van Gundy and Doris Burke. Coach, what are your thoughts on the first half?
Well, I thought UConn changed it all around with the insertion of Mosqueda Lewis into the lineup, 10 points. I thought Buck's defense against Griner, and I thought the zone really stagnated Baylor.
Now down the stretch, 11 possessions to end the half, 6 misses, 4 turnovers, and 1 basket. Obviously, you've got to prepare for her. She's a 6'8" force on both ends of the floor, added to her offensive arsenal, no longer strictly going over the right shoulder. She is a much more polished offensive player. But Buck, a player who historically in her career has not had the trust of Gino Auriemma, she's earning minutes, Jeff. She was the best defender in that first half. And the zone changed things. And you just stand behind her, be physical with her, and look at the minutes.
Heather Buck did not attempt a shot in the first 20 minutes, but she had as much to say about this score being 34-28 as anybody.
Absolutely. Physical, deflected a few balls, and really Griner played the whole half, and that tag team approach really seemed to impact them, and they're going to try to get her involved in deep post-ups, even against the zone.
Griner with 11 points, give her 13 now, quickly out of the gate. That's how the game started for Brittany.
See, and she may have traveled, but I like the strategic adjustment by Mulkey. They came out and they got the ball to the corner to flatten the defense out and got her the ball in the post against the zone versus the short corner. Good adjustment.
Dolson back in there to open up and throws that one away, looking for a backdoor cut. She had 2 fouls and sat for a big hunk of the first half. Let's bring in Rebecca Lobo.
Dave, I talked to Coach Mulkey a few minutes ago, and she said against that zone, Griner simply didn't get enough touches. She said, is that Griner's fault for hiding versus the zone, or was it our guards not finding her? She said, we have to find a way to flash, penetrate the zone, and screen the zone. I asked if she agreed with Coach Auriemma that this game was going to come down to offense. She said, look at the score. It's going to still be about defensive stops.
Here's Griner on the high post to let it fly, and that won't drop. Kept alive by Pope, and a foul with 18:57 to go here in the second half. Back to that first possession for Brittany Griner.
Yeah, you flatten the zone out by getting the ball into the corner. Good entry. She probably should have rolled to the middle again, forced the move to the baseline. But it was a good idea of getting the ball deep in the paint. You cannot become just perimeter oriented and forget about your post players when teams play zone.
They got Kelly Farris for that foul moments ago. And now it's loose. Doty hits the deck. Condrey with it. Here's Sims to launch a long one and buries the three. Boy, she's got a killer instinct. She really does. And Baylor is within one. She is not afraid to take the shot.
But she was patient. You know, she saw the ball loose on the floor. She was staying space to that three-point line.
Hartley really got hot down the stretch of the first half and keeps it rolling with a long one here. 37-33 UConn. It did not start out in smooth fashion for Hartley, but she's really picked it up. Probably thought about going to the goal there. Shot clock down to 11. Jumping inside. The shot. Banks won't get it to go. Underneath and the whistle and a foul.
It's two plays early where Kelly Farris having to check Brooklyn Pope or ended up matched up against her in that zone, just trying to deal with the bigger player. Has had a couple of things go against her.
Boy, that's number 3 on Stephanie Dolson. So the 6'5" sophomore has picked up another one. Pope at the line. And off target on the first one. Pope a 41% foul shooter. So really scuffles here.
That's very kind.
We'll see the second one. 37-34. Farris back off to Hartley, out to midcourt. Sims sticking right with her. 7 on the shot clock for Connecticut. Now down to 4. Farris looked at it, heaves it, and it's around and out. So now the Lady Bears of Baylor ranked number 1 in the country. They do have 2 scheduled meetings with Texas A&M. The defending national champs still to come. Trying to get their offense in gear. Sims got another one, a three-pointer for Odyssey Sims. We are tied at 37. Timeout.
Odyssey Sims is fearless. She's strong. She loves to stay spaced and make threes. And you're right, she's got a great sense of the moment. And right now, she's got her team rolling.
Odyssey Sims going way downtown. A three-pointer moments ago has tied this game at 37.
Yeah, 2 threes in the second half. Really been their only real threat from deep, and really been strong on-ball defense, great hands, anticipation to strip. These 2 threes in the second half have brought it to even and made Gino Auriemma not only call timeout, but insert Mosqueda Lewis.
A little unhappy with Caroline Doty, the junior, who of course is coming off 3 torn ACLs, all in that same left knee. Trying to make her way back, maybe a step slow.
That'll hamper your closing speed, that's for sure.
Golson backdoor. Here's Hayes in a well-run play for UConn.
I got to say this now. They ran 2 plays in the first half where in screen and roll situations they got Dolson moving, Jeff, and therefore took Griner up high and away from the backdoor help. And those 3 plays really are when they are at their best.
UConn scoring out of the timeout. Here's Pope banging underneath. That won't drop. Loose, and Mosqueda Lewis comes away with it for Connecticut. Olsen ran right into her, and she's playing with 3 personals. Approaching 16 minutes to go here in Waco. Number 1 against number 2. And for a change, it's not Connecticut as the number 1, but all-time UConn is 69-5 when they are the number 2 team in the country, and they just keep coming offensively. Hartley now with 18.
That's great balance coming off that pin down to be able to get your feet set as they shoot the gap.
Hayden draws the foul as she penetrates with 15:42 to go. Timeout. When we come back, the relationship between Gino Auriemma and Brittany Griner. Tonight they're enemies. Hasn't always been the case.
Coach, you know, he couldn't be, a great coach and have a program like that. So he definitely knows, the ins and outs of the game, and it was just a great experience being able to play for him.
I was impressed with the way Brittany takes in information. She watches and she tries to learn, whether it's from the other players that were older than her and more experienced than her, or the coaching staff that was working with her.
Brittany Griner spending 2 weeks on Gino's U.S. national team in the European training tour in late September. She was the only college player in that group.
If I was Gino, I would have given her every wrong bit of information. I think you start to need to develop your 3-point shot.
Yeah.
I don't think you should block shots at all. It's weird having to coach somebody that you then are going to have to play to get to where you want to. So how much do you really want them to improve?
Well, how would you have handled it?
I would have been conflicted. Plus, you built up such animosity for your opponents, but it seems like it's very difficult to have any animosity to Brittany Griner. She seems like such a kind person.
Very humble, very sweet kid. She longboards to class here on the Baylor campus.
That's a sight I'd like to see.
Yeah.
Not if you're Kim Mulkey. You're like,
right.
Can we just take a car?
Mosqueda Lewis into the corner for Ferris. Shot clock at 7. Here's Mosqueda Lewis. It looked great coming out of her hand on a three-pointer.
Oh, it always does. What a pure shooter. And, you know, that was her reputation coming in, but this young woman has got so much more to her game than just pure shooting.
Nene Hayden on the drive. Oh, got a great look. Couldn't cash in. They're not falling all of a sudden for the Lady Bears. The #1 ranked team in the country. Are they primed to fall tonight? Of course, as both sides would admit, it would not be a giant upset. Foul here with 14:52 to go, but Mosqueda Lewis is cooking.
Good extra pass by Ferris, and that is a very quick release, well balanced. And that's as pure a stroke as you're going to see.
13 points in 17 minutes. You made the point in the first half watching her shoot, Jeff, that she probably knows she's the best player on the floor.
Exactly, and that's exactly what you want as they knock in another three. That's exactly how you want your players to feel, like there is no one that can guard you.
Hayes knocked away. Ferris came up with it. Tiffany Hayes with a very acrobatic theft. And it's UConn with the momentum.
Well, 10 threes. Coach Oriama told us he thought they'd have to make 8 or 9. They're well above that already. And now you find out something for Kim Mulkey. You're facing adversity like you did in the Tennessee game. Do you have the toughness to respond here?
He called that a big grow-up game for them when they rallied from 7 down in the second half and beat Tennessee at Knoxville. Knocked out a play with 14:11 to go. It'll be Baylor ball.
Well, Tiffany Hayes is a streaky three-point shooter, but she's on balance. Her feet are set. She's got a great screen. And I'm telling you, Jeff, once she gets 1 or 2 to go, it becomes a little bit easier for her.
UConn playing very solid defense as well. Baylor will have it. 14:03 left here in Waco.
And I agree with something Doris just said about the ability to grow up for Baylor and to show great mental toughness.
Here's Madden. That barely grazed the iron. Sims off the fake. That won't roll in.
And you can't play with frustration right now. Just got to play your game and know it's going to be a possession game because Connecticut is going to run the clock.
Dolson got a great look. Boy, out of the pack, Hartley comes away.
What do you know? They're playing harder, and they're beating Baylor to every loose basketball. You can tell. Look at the 5 white jerseys with their hands down. You know, somebody's got to show some pride and some leadership here, take control of the group.
48-39, UConn with their biggest lead here. Baylor winning their last 28 at home, haven't lost at home since 09 to Texas. Ferris driving, Griner with the block. 16 on the shot clock. And that is a Big 12 record for block shots in a career. She needed 5 to do it, and there's number 5 tonight for Brittany Griner. Destiny Williams will come on, averaging 10 points and 7 rebounds. Very tough rebounder. Dolson holds it up. Hartley's had the hot hand. Knocked away by Sims. More sticky D, but it comes right to Dolson, and she's fouled by Sims. That'll be her 3rd. There's Griner moments ago with that record-breaking block.
On the dribble drive, you've always got to be mindful. She does an exceptional job just reaching out, avoiding body contact so that the whistle can't come. And she is number 5 now all-time on the NCAA list.
Just broke Courtney Parris's Big 12 record. Oh, another one by Mosqueda Lewis, who seemingly can hit her shot anytime she wants. 16 points.
See, to me right now, with Griner such a force, they should be pushing up on the shooters as Williams hits the foul line jumper. and making them drive the ball into Griner. It shouldn't be a standstill shooting game. There's no reason to be giving up three-point shots when you can close and make them go against the all-time shot blocker.
Dolson again, and again got an excellent look at that. Odyssey Sims out of the pack with it. Baylor in need of a run, trailing by 9 on their home floor, and they need Griner. Here she is again for 2.
See, that's a big play. Ferris, a rare mistake. I mean, I know that you're a tough kid, but you shouldn't be tapping that, trying to tap that ball in at her size. That's a possession wasted.
Hayes trying to get by Griner. Another block. Sims to push the tempo. 1-on-3 on the baseline. And draws a foul. Odyssey Sims is nothing if she's not in a hurry. All by herself, 7-point game.
Well, Kim Mulkey wanted the ball inside. Nice little turnaround to her right shoulder. And then again, don't react and overhelp on Connecticut's penetration. Let Griner zone up the lane. Give up the Dolson jumpers. If she makes a couple mid-range jumpers, fine. But you've got to eliminate the three-point shot.
Sims with 16 points. Buck is coming back on now. Heather Buck. You figure this was only a matter of time because she had such a sterling first half defensively on Griner.
And now more so than ever, Griner needs to zone the lane, and there should be no perimeter shots. Make her drive because Buck's not really an offensive threat.
50-45. Hartley. Ferris up top for Hayes. Shot clock inside 10. Tiffany Hayes back to Hartley. Hartley will shoot it. Rebound tip free toward the UConn bench. It'll go the other way. It is Baylor ball.
They needed some toughness and some leadership, and Odyssey Sims leading the journey. Point guard's got to have eyes and vision and know who to deliver it to, and if she doesn't.
We welcome you back. ESPN Holiday Hoops from Waco. #1 Baylor against #2 Connecticut. UConn's lead at 5 points. Brittany Griner's line so far tonight: 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 block shots.
Well, just started off very dominant. It's very difficult to get the ball to the rim against her. Her post moves have become more difficult, but still, when she gets 2 feet in the paint, she's just very difficult to deal with. And I really think right now, Baylor's got to make a conscientious effort to take the three-point shot out of the game. Connecticut has no free throws. They have 20 field goals. Half are three-point shots. You've got to make them drive the ball into Griner.
Now Brittany coming in, averaging 23 points, 11 rebounds, 6 blocks, turning and firing a miss there. And a terrific effort there along the baseline by Madden to save that one off of Connecticut and keep possession. And he'll check it in from the baseline.
Now, you know what? Sims, I thought, just showed a little bit of toughness, and her energy picked up defensively. I think the rest of the white jerseys went with her. Now everybody in white playing a little bit harder.
Hayden into the lane, trying to dump it off, and commits the offensive foul. So the charge on Nene Hayden.
Sorry, Dave. Just to Jeff's point about trying to make Connecticut drive it, keep in mind that philosophically, that's typically what they do. They put great on-ball pressure. They deny the passing lane incredibly hard. But Jeff, she told us today she's too concerned about getting beaten back door, and so changed her game plan, so to speak.
Hayes with the drive, another swat away by Griner. That's 7 blocks.
Just keep making him take the ball to the basket.
Yeah.
And then at the other end, if I was Kim Mulkey, I would introduce Brittany Griner to everybody on my team and say, this is Brittany Griner. Throw her the ball when someone's on her back in the post. I mean, they just looked her off.
Yeah.
Escada Lewis fires away right before the shot clock. Tipped out of play with 10:34 to go, and they'll keep it.
Wow, I thought that was off of UConn. Well, she keeps adding to her total for the Big 12, surpassing Courtney Paris.
Connecticut, almost halfway through the second half, has yet to attempt a foul shot in this game. Baylor is 6 out of 7 at the line, so not many fouls.
And see, Connecticut's not driving to score. They're driving to pass and draw defenders for the three. You just got to make them drive to score.
The attendance, by the way, tonight, 10,627. That matches Baylor's all-time attendance record for a men's or women's basketball game. Griner getting tripped up, draws the foul. She'll go to the line to shoot 2. And Tuesday night, a doubleheader coming your way at 7 o'clock. Samford against number 3 Kentucky. Then at 9, Battle of the Bulldogs. It'll be Butler against Gonzaga. All part of Holiday Hoops, presented by Kay Jewelers.
Well, Mr. Lamb from Kentucky coming off a huge game. Anthony Davis, so much fun to watch.
Brittany Griner, 73% at the line. She has always been a good foul shooter.
But last year they lost 3 times, and I was just looking at this today. The 3 losses, she was 5 for 13 against Connecticut. She was 8 for 15 against Texas A&M, and she was 3 for 5 against Texas Tech. And so she is really good, but she's going to have to make them in important times this year.
I thought he was about to pull a Rick Perry and not be able to get the 3rd one.
Into the backcourt.
Don't
Sims.
be on my governor. Don't be on my governor. Anybody could have. It could happen to anybody.
You're a Houston guy. That's right. Under 10. 3-point game. 8-0 run for Baylor. Sims trying to add to that. Banks in 2. Give her 19.
So you had to take Buck out because she's not giving you any offense. So as much as she was helping you defensively, she wasn't helping you here.
Pass deflected right off Madden's shoulder now. A scramble for it. And the possession arrow will keep it right here with 9:16 to go.
And I love Odyssey Sims, and I love the way she competes. And she'll grow in terms of her point guard skills overall, managing a game. But, boy, when it comes time for big moments and big shots, Odyssey Sims wants to be that player.
I'm interested to see how Connecticut can function with their blue player, Ferris, on the bench. She's so tough and has every quality that you respect in winning players.
Dolson back in. Hartley got airborne. Tough shot, and she beat the buzzer. How about that bank shot for 20 points for Bria Hartley?
Reminds you of last year's game where those two players who were in their rookie moments and big moments down the stretch of that game made plays.
Connecticut by 3. Griner rolling, left it well short, and they're going to call her for a charge. And Kim Mulkey is beside herself on that call.
But that was the first time UConn sent a second defender on the dribble. Doty came over and gave great support right here to clog it up. And that's a good call and a really nice play. Griner's development will have to take her to when she puts it on the floor and the second defender comes, being able to pass off the dribble.
So Connecticut holding on to a 52-49 lead. The number 2 team in the country trying to knock off number 1. And Dolson starting to find her range. Drops in 2. So they open it back up to a 5-point advantage. Griner patrolling that lane, really commanding the ball. Hayden to penetrate. A lot of contact and an offensive foul. Now let's see. They've got a difference of opinion here. Jesse Dickerson, he thought he had an offensive foul, and he's going to get the call.
See, I don't understand. When the outside official here had a block clearly, he had a charge. To me, that's a jump ball situation. One cannot overrule the other.
So that one will go against Kim Mulkey. 8:07 to go.
And the replay looks like a block to me.
That's what Felicia Grinter had. Dickerson had it as a charge.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, the thing that impacts your calls as an official more than anything else in block charge is your angle.
Doty trying to free up Dolson, really going at it with Griner. 7 to shoot now for the Huskies, and a whistle on the baseline, and a foul with 7:44 to go. So we have a timeout on the floor. Timeout on Brittany, foul there on Brittany Griner. Back with more in a moment.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by K Jewelers. Every kiss begins with K.
All right, 7:44 to go. UConn with a 54-49 lead. We just saw the foul moments ago on Griner. Take a look at this one. You'll see the elbow. Right to the back. There, Dolson first, but then through the lane on Caroline Doty.
That looks like the New York Knicks under Jeff Van Gundy.
There's nothing wrong with protecting your paint. Now, I would say this. That's a frustration foul from the previous call. And you cannot, you're so valuable if you're Griner, you cannot afford to take frustration fouls.
I'll say this to you. Over the course of her career, and everyone's going to point and probably give me some criticism because she punched the player the one year, she took a physical beating and a verbal beating on a nightly basis as a freshman, and I thought, for the most part, showed unbelievable composure. But you're right, she's frustrated now and reacting to it, and you don't want it to hurt her team.
Hartley fires and misses. She actually had Dolson open a moment ago, didn't see her. Now they'll get a new shot clock, though, and a second effort.
And they've got to block out. Connecticut is sending their perimeter players to the board. Doty, good effort, second effort to secure the ball.
Doty. Dolson trying to make a move and travel, so she gives it up. 54-49 Connecticut, Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. Jacobin Brown and Texas will battle Harrison Barnes and number 6 North Carolina. That's followed at 9 o'clock by Oklahoma State and number 21 Alabama. Here it's number 1 against number 2 from Waco on a Sunday night, deep in the heart of Texas. And Baylor looking for number 42 time and time again. Trying to bank it. No, the follow up and in. Beautifully done by Destiny Williams. Three-point game.
And I like this switch by Kim Mulkey, putting Madden on Mosqueda Lewis and putting her power forward on Doty.
Mosqueda Lewis, and that one blocked by Madden, and it'll go the other way. So Madden really did it all there. Jordan Madden Jr.
She did the same thing in the Tennessee game against Shakina Strickland, where Strickland absolutely torched him in the first half. Kim challenged her at the half and said, listen, we need somebody to guard this kid. And she has issued a similar challenge, I have no doubt.
Condry to Griner, sweeping in, and it rolls off, but a foul committed, and Griner will be to the foul line with 6:08 left on the blocking foul. Hayes with the personal.
Well, right before that, and that was a close call, but right before that, Griner and Dolson got tangled up. Dolson went down, which left a direct angle to the basket for Griner.
So it's Griner to the line. Last year, in the 1-point loss to UConn, she had 19 points and 9 block shots. Now she has 18 tonight. 7 rebounds, and she has broken the Big 12 record for block shots in a career. Brittany, a junior from Houston. Smooth at the line.
Just feels like it's been these moments where Bria Hartley has made a shot for Connecticut to this point. It's been her or Mosqueda Lewis.
Mosqueda Lewis handing off for Hayes. The freshman now. She'll fire it up there. It's Griner to collect it. And now Baylor with a chance to retake the lead. 5:40 left. Griner again. Over Dolson. No. Dolson there for the rebound. And tied up on the play. The possession arrow will keep it here. As it gets feisty and physical with 5.5 minutes to go. Baylor basketball.
Griner's got to go back to going to the middle. Every time she's gone to the middle on her post moves, something good has happened for her. Every time she's turned baseline, it has led to turnovers and misses.
Over the top. Griner held up and fouled. Hartley with a hold there with 5:30 to go.
This is very good defense by Dolson. She catches it below the block, so when she turns baseline, she has no angle.
And on the inbound play, a play that's been highly effective for Baylor. It helped them beat Tennessee. They run a little stack, and they just lob it up to Brittany Griner.
Connecticut, 1-1.
Yeah, Connecticut worked really hard on it today. They are using their guards, but a foul called immediately. It'll be very interesting down the last 5.5 on out of bounds underneath. Do they go to that play again? Because she's a what?
It's a very complex play. You stick your 6'8" post person up and throw it up high. No, and I love the simplicity of it. You can call it number 42, Griner's number. Just throw her the ball.
Been a long time since Baylor had the lead, but they've got it back, a 1-point edge. Hartley at the foul line. Here's Mosqueda Lewis. Griner battling for the rebound, taken away by Hayes. And a new shot clock for Gino Auriemma, and he wants to call a timeout here with 4:58 left. 55-54, Baylor by 1. First Baylor lead since it was 26-24 in the first half. Let's talk a little bit about Brittney Griner, and now a junior. And do you start comparing her, you know, in line with the all-time greats? Where do you think she ranks?
Well, first of all, these are in my era. There are probably some before me, but the first one I remember was Ann Donovan. Just, you know, we had never seen anything like her. Lisa Leslie had unbelievable success as an Olympian and WNBA player. Rebecca Lobo, of course, probably the modern era in '95, the undefeated national championship, and Sylvia Fowles, who remains one of the dominant forces in the WNBA and likely an Olympic starting center alongside Tina Charles. There's Bay. She didn't want us to run that video.
Too bad.
Another great center. Actually, Rebecca was allowed to slide to that 4 spot, play a little out of the high post with Carol Walters. I think obviously you have to start talking about her. She's the most unique force I've ever seen. And listen, she's just scratching the surface and learning how to play the game. I mean, imagine how dominant she's been without a go-to post move to this point.
A 7'4" wingspan. The handoff for Hayes on the baseline. Here's Ferris to launch. That won't fall. She followed her own miss and went down, tripped on the play. She was fouled with 4:51 to go.
But it's a mistake to come off and help. They've given up 3 quality shots in a row by over-helping or going under screens. Right there on that baseline penetration, Destiny Williams is coming to help. All she has to do is stay at home and let Griner block whatever drive and finish was going to go up.
Well, a momentous occasion as Doty comes back on. Hayes will take a well-earned breather here because Connecticut is going to the line for the first time tonight with about 5 minutes to go in the game.
I was wondering where you were going with that. Momentous occasion, he said.
Now Ferris making the first. Ferris, an 80% foul shooter. (56-55), so it's Connecticut back on top by a point. Madden picks up the dribble. Here's Condrey. Burke swings it back up top for Jordan Madden. A long shot by Condrey. She buries the 3. Big one for the senior.
Sagging off the entry pass to try to protect the post entry to Griner. Condrey knocks in a big 3.
Dolson, nifty bounce pass and a foul. No, it's a travel. No basket. A traveling violation on Ferris, so wave that off.
Did they call it on Ferris?
Yes. That's a good call.
Yeah, it is.
I'm impressed with Dolson's passing from the high post.
Sims on the baseline. Madden back on top for Condrey, who just hit that 3. Griner to her right. Tough move for 2. No way to stop that. She has 23. And a timeout, Gino Auriemma. Look at that run for Baylor. 21-6 to take a 4-point lead.
Well, Brittney Griner has carried this team, protecting the rim, just very difficult if you don't have a mid-range pull-up game to be able to score over her. And then when they take a body off of her, she's hurt them on the offensive board. Not smooth post offensive moves sometimes, but effective. And this is the first time she's been rewarded going baseline. Good spinning off the body of Dolson because she posted up a little bit higher to give her a little bit a better angle to bank it in. Man, those are big-time numbers right there.
We have seen this before, you and I, in Brittany Griner's games. Last 5 or 6 minutes, it's in doubt. It could go either way, and she just grabs it.
Let's not overlook what Odyssey Sims did, because the 2 big threes, she really, I thought, got this run triggered by making shots and competing on the defensive end. Griner's been sensational, but Sims has been right there with her.
Griner, 23 points, 8 of 14 shooting, 8 rebounds, 8 blocks. Mosqueda Lewis trying to answer. That rolls off. Boy, Ferris, a tough rebound in heavy traffic. Hartley won't wait and knocks it down. That's a 2-pointer.
But they're going under on Mosqueda Lewis, which is a mistake. And then a great opportunity to get a 3, even though that was a 2, is right after the offensive rebound.
Hartley has 23 points.
I was just going to say, as good as Sims has been, Hartley has had the answer for Connecticut.
Griner holds it high. Conway back to her. The 6'8" junior for 2 more. 25 points.
When you double team the post, you can't allow a big to spin away from the double team like Griner just did and go baseline.
Hartley into the lane. Harassed from behind. A lot of that was Griner. Even though she didn't get credit for a block there, just her presence. And an official timeout with 2:32 remaining. Tiffany Hayes will come back on for Doty. 62-58. And now we have a timeout. A 4-point lead for Baylor. And Bria Hartley, the sophomore from North Babylon, New York, who tends to fly under the radar now and again, but she's not doing it tonight.
Now the dribble drive by Connecticut, as she's been stuck in that corner. She's been aware of the pitch. She got out of the gates very slowly. An air ball, turned it over early at 4 first-half turnovers. But I'd say another kid who never shies away from the big moment. Under duress of the shot clock, has to use the window on that one. But I like how she competes as well.
Hartley 9 for 15 from the field, 4 out of 6 from 3. She's played 36 minutes and has been a huge part of it tonight. So 2.5 minutes to go.
And Kim Mulkey called the timeout, which may seem odd, but I think she wanted to get Pope out of the game because of her poor free throw shooting, thinking that Gino might have intentionally fouled to get her to the free throw line.
Well, a reminder about ESPNW Hoops Across America as we're visiting 16, sort of our Sweet 16, both powerhouses and some of the women's programs that are off the beaten path. And we encourage you to follow us along this week, of course, at Baylor, and the #1 ranked team in the country, trying to go to 11-0, try to pick off their 4th top 25 opponent. We'll take a timeout here as well. Baylor leading 62-58, 2:32 left in Waco. drama here tonight in Waco, Texas. It's been everything we expected it would be. Number 1 Baylor against number 2 Connecticut. Both teams off to perfect starts. Baylor 10-0, UConn at 9-0. And we have 2.5 minutes left to decide it in a 4-point game. And a lot of hot shooters.
Interesting substitution by Connecticut, going back to Buck for Dolson after Dolson has allowed 2 straight baskets by Griner.
Sims, Gino wanted a turnover there. He thought she had palmed the ball right in front of the official. Lisa Mattingly said no. Shot clock at 10. Griner doubled up, looking for an open shooter and a foul. That'll go against Hayes with 2:13 on the clock.
If you hard double, Tiffany Hayes can't be late on that pass.
So it'll be Williams at the line. Destiny Williams is the Big 12 Newcomer of the Year. Transfer from Illinois. She hits 70% at the line.
And that was a very good substitution by Kim Mulkey. If Pope had been left in, 41% free throw shooter would be going to the line right now.
And in and out. But it's Madden to chase down the rebound. Did a great job to keep that one in Baylor's possession.
Okay, so they pull Pope back. I was going to say, if she comes in, Jeff, given that it's only 4, 2-12, would you foul her?
I would really think about it. But if you don't get free throw rebounds, you don't deserve to win. Free throw rebounding is the easiest, most overlooked way to beat yourself.
Condrey over the top, Griner. Condrey, she walked with it. Traveling violation on Baylor with 1:56 left.
Kim Mulkey's face. It's so easy coaching.
Man, she is diminutive, but she is intense. What a practice she ran yesterday.
Well, she was a great player, and she's an elite coach. She's won championships as a head coach and as a player. Now a tangle, and it's going to be a blocking foul against Sims as Hartley went down. 1:43 to go. Take another look.
It's an easy call. Kim's not even battling.
And that is a bad choice and a bad decision. You're up 4. Connecticut is struggling to get a quality shot off. And now you put him to the free throw line.
Hartley with 22. This will be her first foul shot tonight. And that one clangs away. And it will go the other way. That was on the baseline. So back over to Baylor with 1:41 to go. Seems to take her time. There is no 10-second backcourt violation in women's basketball. Under 1.5 minutes. Farris trying to body up on Sims and commits a blocking foul right on the side. 1:21 to go.
And that, too, was a poor choice. You had the clock down to 12 seconds. There's no need to foul. You're still only in a 2-possession game, and you're putting a very good free throw shooter to the line.
Sims 84%. Odyssey Sims last year named the National Freshman of the Year and the Big 12 Freshman of the Year. But now this season she's become a star. 18.7 assists a game, and give her 20 points tonight. 63-58. She makes them both. So it's a 6-point deficit for Connecticut. Here's Mosqueda Lewis. No, she's gone cold, and Griner there for the rebound.
The exact shot she wanted. A perfect flare screen. Plenty of time to get her feet set.
Under a minute. They break it ahead to Pope.
You got to foul her before she could get rid of it.
It's Sims now. the best foul shooter they have, and she's finally fouled by Hartley with 49.9 to go. So Baylor really managing the clock very effectively and getting it into the right hands here down the stretch. Kim Mulkey trying to knock off Connecticut in a series that right now is going to end, at least for a while, with this game, unless they re-sign.
You know, they should be forced to play each other. I don't understand. They play so many blowouts. I don't know why they wouldn't want to play each other, not just once, twice. Same with Tennessee. Stop that stupid feud. Play Connecticut. Connecticut play you twice. Play Texas A&M. You know, you don't need to be playing the Sacred Hearts and Alcorn States of the world.
Kim Mulkey was open to that suggestion. She actually said it to us at shoot-around today. Willing to play the good teams, and you can, you know, kind of go year by year and see who the best teams are and play them twice.
That was an outstanding second-half performance by Baylor. They went to their superstar, Brittany Griner, when it counted most, and Odyssey Sims. Oh, there's another block. Boy, is that a statement. Brittany Griner lights up the building. That's out at the three-point line. She's almost into double figures in blocks. She has 9. That's how many she blocked against Connecticut last year. But that was a one-point loss for Baylor. Now they've gotten the Huskies at home, and with 25 seconds left, looks like they're on their way to the win. Hayes, that didn't touch anything. Hartley picks it up. Final seconds here from Waco, Texas. And she'll knock it down, a three-pointer. And a timeout, Gino Oriema. 66-61. Now 12.5 seconds left.
Yeah, and a bad decision on that turnover. There's no 10-second count. Just hold the ball. Use your timeout if you're in trouble. Instead, players play the score and not the game. And so, thinking the game's over, careless pass leads to a 3. Now, most likely, they're still not going to lose, but you put yourself in position to give them a chance at a miracle.
Just saw Gino Oriema chewing on Mosqueda Lewis, and I know it wasn't about a missed shot. It had to be about something else, but Brittany Griner was sensational all night long, and just growing every single time out on the offensive end. She's always been a tremendous shot blocker at 6'8" with tremendous agility at her size and her length. Very difficult to get shots off around the rim. Active around the rim. You know, she's not, you wouldn't call her a smooth offensive player yet, Jeff. You know, she'll get there. She's shown a couple of things tonight. We saw her make a reverse move against Tennessee that was really smooth, but she's much more willing and able to take contact and not get frustrated and play through it.
25 points, 9 block shots, and 9 rebounds, and she has played every second of this game.
I think that's the overlooked factor. Her conditioning level, the ability to play big minutes, unlike most big players who need consistent rest.
And I think she's answered one criticism. She's made all her foul shots in big games. She's had some issues with that. Sims deep in the corner to Griner. And the last 5 seconds as the clock ticks away. Baylor with an impressive second half, and they knock off Connecticut 66-61. Number 1 will remain number 1, defeating number 2 UConn tonight here in Waco. Baylor now 11-0, and they have defeated all 4 of the top 25 opponents that they have faced. UCLA, Notre Dame, knocking off Tennessee, and now number 2 UConn falling here in front of the largest crowd to ever see a women's basketball game in this arena.
Great experience for both teams. You had to face some adversity at Baylor. You gave up the lead. You weren't playing very well. Things weren't going your way. You had the toughness to respond.
I know Jeff Van Gundy wants to see her try a few three-pointers to really kind of balance out her offensive game, but That was really impressive. Let's go to Rebecca with the winning coach, Kim Mulkey.
Coach, down 11 with 13 minutes to go. What were the keys to make the run and then eventually hold on to this victory?
Get the ball to Griner. You can't win at this level if she only has 7 touches in the first half. Everything we do needs to go through her. She doesn't need to take every shot. I've got great players out there, but you must let her touch it, and then she'll find you. I thought that we fought hard. I thought the crowd was tremendous. Compliment Connecticut. Those guys are trying to find an identity without Maya Moore. I believe they found it. They got 4 pretty darn good guards that can flat out shoot the ball, Rebecca.
I know it's only December, but how important was it for your team to get this win in front of this crowd tonight?
Well, it was important to the extent that it was great for women's basketball. It was great for Waco, Baylor, our fans, but it didn't win a championship. You saw 2 outstanding teams play defense. I told you defense would win it. 66 points, 61, that's kids guarding people out there. And I just thought you saw great plays down the stretch. I thought you saw tremendous athletes on the floor, and what a great way to go home for Christmas.
All right, Coach, thank you. Dave?
Rebecca, thank you very much. Indeed, it is only December. They may meet again come March, and we look forward to that. These are very, very sunny times here in Waco, Texas. They have the Heisman Trophy winner who was here to watch it tonight. They have an outstanding men's team ranked in the top 25, and they have the best player in women's college basketball, and she showed it again tonight for the #1 ranked team in America, the Baylor Lady Bears, as Brittany Griner leads Baylor over UConn 66-61. Sports Center is next. For Jeff Van Gundy, Doris Burke, Rebecca Lobo, and the rest of our crew, we say good night from Waco, Texas. Now, let's head to Sports Center. Good night, everybody.